I am not a fan of horror movies, but having watched a significant amount of third period and overtime playoff hockey in close games, I'm starting to think that maybe I should be. Avs win over the Tampa Bay Lightning 4-3 in overtime to win Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final.
Alex Newhook!
Oh boy.
Whoa!
It doesn't get much better than this. This was genuinely two great teams playing great hockey, and ultimately, the Avs were the better hockey team, at least in this game. Both teams went punch for punch. Of course, they weren't perfect. Both teams made major mistakes, and that's part of the game. You play through them, you find a way to be the better team anyway. There certainly didn't seem to be any rust from Colorado's side. They got off to a good start. They were coming hard and heavy at Tampa from the very, very beginning. That includes hitting a post very early on in the game that Tampa would equalize on the post counter later on. The thing about hockey is sometimes funny things happen, and despite the Avs playing well early, they end up taking a penalty, which they then kill. They do a very good job of it as well. Of course, Tampa looked dangerous at times, but the Avs don't give up that first goal of the game, and it kind of rolls into the momentum they already had. And eventually, the dam is going to break, and it's the Avs that score the first goal of the Stanley Cup Finals. Byram is able to take this puck up ice here, and he does a good job. Notice there's only one player from Tampa behind him and two Avs. So this is a 3-on-4 situation going up the ice for the Avs, and Byram is able to carry it all the way into the offensive zone, chip it across the blue line as he backs off two Tampa Bay defenders with some speed. That's some respect right there. That gives enough room for Mikko as Byram gets the little semi-pick play going down. Opens up Mikko to get all the way down to the top of the circles and even a little bit further here before this shot comes in. This is not an all-world shot, but it is a quality one. It goes in on Vasilevsky, and it just kind of squirts through him. You see just under the glove side, it just trickles through enough. It's trickling towards the net right now. Probably would have gone in anyway, but Landy secures it by winning the race and making sure. At times this playoffs, Andrei Vasilevsky has shown he is human. Obviously, when Tampa gets to the end of series, he's been elite, but through series, especially early on, he is extremely beatable, and it showed in the first period of this hockey game. More importantly, though, the Avs keep the pressure up, and really they kept the pressure up through the entire first period, and not giving Tampa an inch. When a goalie looks shaky, keeping the pressure up, yeah, it usually leads to another goal. Avs with some standard pressure on the forecheck here, nothing too crazy, but it forces Hedman to move the puck quickly, and he just doesn't execute well. Landy's sliding into the passing lane and is able to get a skate on it to keep it in the zone, and from there the Avs just go back to work. Val in the corner putting pressure on. Again, a second opportunity for this forecheck to get aggressive. You get the jump in from Makar. The Avs have possession all of a sudden with McKinnon controlling it. A great job. He looks like he's just going to dump it into the zone, but he finds Val in the middle of the zone. Val actually doesn't use his space super effectively here. You see he doesn't take a single stride, but he's in the middle of the ice, a dangerous area of the ice, and then he just puts a better shot than Vasilevsky can handle. This was a funny game for Val Nichushkin. Don't get me wrong, I thought he played great, absolutely excellent, particularly on the forecheck, a spot where the Avs as a team played amazingly well. But it was just kind of weird. At times he was losing pucks, at times it was a little sloppy, and that's okay. That can be true, and Val still had an amazing game. Obviously a key goal here. The first 10 minutes of the series pretty much could not start any better for Colorado. They were doing everything right, and they were getting rewarded for it. And then comes the first real major mistake of the series for the Avs, and yeah, turns out Tampa's good too. They're gonna make you pay. So the Avs are just getting out of their own zone to start here, and they do an okay job of it, but Tampa plays very aggressively, keeping the puck pushing forward, keeping the puck in the neutral zone, so the Avs can't really change at all. It takes a couple of cycles and even gets a little bit messy at times, and ultimately this is really just throwing a puck up the ice, and things working out a little bit for Tampa. But aggression on the puck and going the right direction puts the Avs in a tough spot. So when this puck flies forward, this is Erik Johnson, this little blur here. This is Nick Paul, this little blur here. And Erik Johnson just gets absolutely torched. He was never in that foot race. It was never even close. Look at that separation in just a few strides, how far Nick Paul has gone. Nick Paul was this far behind him and is now that far ahead of him. It's just a ridiculous amount of separation there. And then things get really wonky. On the breakaway, Nick Paul actually fumbles this puck. It gets away from him and is sliding away as Kemper is expecting the shot to come back, which makes sense. That's where that shot was headed. But as it's slipping away from Paul, it ends up going off of EJ's stick to come back to settling on Paul's stick, who then whiffs again, gets his stick ahead of the puck. The puck ricochets off of his stick and out to the other side of the net. Yes, Kemper and EJ need to play that better, but what in the F is all of that? There are obviously a lot of things you want to ask better of from that play, from EJ, from Kemper, from anyone else involved. But you know what? Sometimes you just get beat. It is often as much about the response to that as it is stopping the actual play itself. And the Avs' response was, of course, to continue working hard, continue to be better than Tampa when it comes to winning pucks and just fighting harder. Hard work leads to these things called power plays. The Avs get 2 called in a span of about 30 seconds to get a 5-on-3 fairly late in the first. Were those calls soft? Yeah, maybe a little bit, but so was the one that Tampa got earlier in the period. Again, we've kept it this way the whole playoffs. We don't really need to go deep into the refs' calls. You play the game you're in, and you find a way to execute. That's exactly what the Avs do on the 5-on-3. Avs up to this point have been fairly passive on this 5-on-3, but then they just turn the knob all the way up. McKinnon from the outside walks in hard, puts the pressure on, drops it down to Landy, who quickly backs it back out to Mikko, and they've committed Tampa all the way down in their triangle to basically inside the home plate area. A little bit of contact from McKinnon creates a bit of chaos up high. The Avs do a somewhat of a reset there, but you see Mikko tries to go for the seam pass and finds it. Belmar cheats just enough towards Makar because they have to respect Makar out high that they find this for McKinnon, and then McKinnon really does not put a good shot on it. It's not effective, but you're getting Tampa running around here. That triangle starting to deform a little bit. Landy in behind the net finds Mikko. All of a sudden, Mikko has room to get all the way down to the dot and pull the trigger. He doesn't, though. Instead of pulling the trigger, he rips a pass to Lehkonen, who's gotten free from Chernak in the corner and just taps one home. It's just a good quality hockey play. That's just a good quality hockey play. Tampa kind of have to tip the cap to the situation, and the Avs executing. That's all there is to it. This pushes the Avs into intermission with a 3-1 lead, and it's hard not to feel real good about this hockey game. You get into the second period, and at least on the advanced metrics, it's probably the most even period of the game. Both teams kind of going back and forth, playing pretty well, especially through the first 10 minutes where there is a little bit of a status quo level going on, but you can still see the skill and effort from both teams shining through. And here's a lesson that you're going to have to learn in this series. Tampa's top end is really, really good. They're going to score on you sometimes. They're going to be better than you sometimes. And on their second goal of the game, they kind of just were better. What starts out as what should be a decent chance for the Avs goes awry as Nuke can't get one through, and quickly Tampa Bay works it up the ice. They leave all 3 Avs forwards out of this play and really create a 3-on-2 situation almost. Makar trying to direct traffic a little bit there, but the third player really has nothing to do with this play. The Lightning cross it up in the middle, leaving it for Kucherov, and then Palat goes straight to the back post. And this is just Nikita Kucherov being an insanely talented hockey player. He turns Devon Taves inside out, just absolutely dunks on him. And on the back end, Makar just loses Palat just enough. It's not a lot. There's maybe 8 inches, 10 inches there, and Makar just that far behind is just enough for Kucherov to slip a pass through and Palat to bang it home. Does perfect execution defensively get the Avs out of that situation? Yeah, probably, but that's an all-world goal. Just tip your cap to a good opponent. Again, find a way to beat them, excluding that play. Nikita Kucherov, still a really, really good hockey player, it turns out. It's hard to really have a big problem with how the Avs had played this game up to that point. It's that next one, the one that comes 48 seconds later, that's just not great. It's just not very good. That's all there is to it. Tampa with some sustained zone time here. A weird play where the puck bounces up in the air. No one really knows where it is, and it comes down between Cirelli, O'Connor, and I think that's Sergachev, or maybe it's another Bolt. And the Avs didn't lose a ton of puck battles in this game, but Logan O'Connor loses that one, and it allows Tampa to stay in the zone and stay alive on this shift. From there, this is not anything fancy. They go back to the point. A shot is going to come in from Sergachev here. There's a little bit of traffic, not a ton, maybe a body and a half at most, and it looks like Kemper should have a pretty good read on this. He can see over. I know that's not scientific, but Kemper should be able to see this puck, and it ends up beating him short side. It is a good shot. It goes barring in, but you need better there. Look, it's a weird CNI shot. I get it. There's probably some bodies in the way that make it a little bit obscured for Kemper, but the reality is you would really, really like a save there. It's a save I would expect a starting NHL goaltender to make. Certainly a starter in the Stanley Cup Final. So is it a soft goal? Yeah, I think so. But at the same time, you have Andrei Vasilevsky, who's given up soft goals on the other end. It's not great that the Avs didn't take advantage of that and hold down their lead, but it's a 3-3 hockey game. The Avs are still right there. And again, from that point on, the Avs were the better hockey team by a pretty wide margin, I would say. Obviously, Kemper didn't let it another one, but the Avs dominated possession from there on out, got the better of the chances, and ultimately got the win. The third period was an extremely strong period from the Avs. They just did everything right. They barely gave Tampa anything, outside of one power play, which they killed effectively, let's be clear. They played like the better team on the ice. They just struggled to finish at the end of the day, and Vasilevsky's a good goaltender. He got better as this game went on. The Avs were struggling to solve him through the third period. That's all there is to it. Again, two good teams with a lot of really, really good players going back and forth, going at each other to see who is the best. A period in which the Avs outshoot Tampa 12-5 on the whole. They get a power play very, very late in the third period that they were dangerous on, but failed to capitalize, failed to win the game in regulation. So it goes to overtime, and in overtime, it is what it is. Anything could happen. One singular play, and the game is over either way. A little bit of layover power play time doesn't really get anything done for Colorado, and you think you might see these teams settle into overtime a little bit, which would be horrifying because every single shift you're on the edge of your seat and praying something crazy does or does not happen. But none of that business here. The Avs go down the ice and their second line, I guess if you want to call it that, executes. This play is actually quite messy through the neutral zone. First, Val alone up front tries to dump it in, and a great play by Hedman to knock it down and create maybe a little bit of pressure going the other way for Tampa. But as he tries to whip this up the boards, Stamkos, you see checking up the ice, seeing what's going on, and they both converge without really communicating, and this one ends up banking off of Stamkos' skate up and back into the zone. From there, Val can continue the pressure on Tampa here, forcing them to move the puck quickly here out to safety. Now, they could have gone back. They could have just reset, but they didn't. They tried to move the puck aggressively, and it's a great step up by JT Compher to collect the puck and get the Avs going the right way, ultimately, out of a good little back and forth there. Compher's able to step up, get the initial shot that gets blocked. It comes out, and it's a beautiful read by Val to find Berkey open. Look, Val already had his goal in this game. It's time to pass the hands across. Berkey, yeah, he's a good shooter. He finishes it. Avs win. It took 61.5 minutes, but in Game 1, the Colorado Avalanche were the better hockey team. There is no doubt that the Avs are capable of finishing the job. They've proven it at every single stage of the way. Now they just have to do the damn thing. That is the end of this game video review. Thank you for watching. Head on over to thednvr.com for all of our coverage. I am Rudo, and I spilled my drink a little bit when Berkey scored.
Do it, Jimothy.